Thank you very much, Ambassador. When it comes to the nuclear negotiations, we heard a lot about how it is going to impact or not impact the Iranian people and Iranian regime. But if I want to sum up what we think in the Iranian community to complement what so brilliantly Ambassador pointed out, is that from our perspective, this deal is more than anything a weak deal. We oppose it because it does not stop the Iranian regime from really getting after the bomb. We oppose it because the West could have been a whole lot more stringent on the Iranian regime, and they were not. We oppose it because the Iranian regime, as it was pointed out in the panel, is in retreat. The Iranian regime came to the negotiation tables because of the power of sanctions on one hand, and internally because they were afraid of the Iranian young population uprising against them, just like what they did in 2008 and 2009. So in closing, allow me to point out that our nation, the Iranian people, is willing, is capable, and to get to the freedom and democracy that it wants. There is no need for any internal war of any sort. For the last 100 years, our nation has struggled through our constitutional movement that was 100 years ago, to our nationalization of oil, which was pointed out with Dr. Mossadegh, and after that in the 70s with the inception of all of the political intellectual groups and progressive groups like the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran and other groups, to the point that was pointed out that we overthrew the Shah of Iran and we wanted to establish a democracy, and our revolution was stolen by the Ayatollahs. Tonight we focused on the human rights issue and the 30,000 people who actually shed their blood, just like any other Iranian, to achieve that democracy and freedom. We heard about the global crisis that we are facing with the Islamic fundamentalists and the ISIS phenomena, with the root, as Sheila pointed out, being in Tehran, and the ISIS just being a side effect of what the Iranian regime is doing and what the Iranian regime has been spreading in the Middle East. It was pointed out that from the inception of the revolution in Iran, in every Friday prayer, there are chants of death to America, not because it's their policy, because it's their ideology, and there are chants and slogans that they want to capture Jerusalem through Karbala. It's the Khalifa that they want to set up. They want to spread the fundamentalism that they want to spread. Now, here in the United States, especially these days, we are being horrified by the concept of war. If there is not this deal, there's going to be war. Allow me to point out on behalf of our generation, the Iranian people, that we have been at war with the Iranian regime for the last 30 years. The question is whether or not the West is siding with the people of Iran or with the regime in Tehran. Unfortunately, the West has decided to close their eyes to a lot of things that the Iranian regime is doing. Even right now, as the ambassador pointed out, the policy is not really set, and we hear things like, we know that Iran is meddling in other countries. We know they're spreading terrorism in the Middle East. We know they're doing all of these bad things inside Iran without being any specific, without providing any numbers, the solid number of 2,000 executions. And it's as if this Iran deal is a side thing to a lot of other major things. Our point as Iranians is that let us focus on those major things. As Ambassador pointed out, the future is not that bleak. The future is not that dark. We are fortunate that we support the Iranian resistance that is after freedom and democracy. with the prospect of a secular, nuclear-free republic in Iran. Mrs. Rajavi, who is the president-elect of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, has put out a 10-point plan for the future of Iran. It is printed and it's back in the room, and I invite everybody to pick it up and read it, because that is the platform that the Iranian people are following, and that's the platform that our resistance, which is comprised of different organizations, including the National Council, the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran, which, by the way, is going to be celebrating its 50th anniversary next week, and our wholehearted congratulations goes to them and to all of their supporters throughout the world. This resistance, with PMOI in the core of it, has been promoting democratic regime change in Iran for many, many years. It's about time for the West to understand that the way to help the Iranian people is to side with them on the war that they have with the despotic regime that rules the country. It's about time for them to understand that the voice of people like us, like our sister organizations throughout the world, needs to be heard. It's time for them for the West to understand that the members of PMOI who are kept as hostages and they are under siege in Camp Liberty in Iraq need to be taken care of, and their siege on them needs to be lifted. The list of what needs to happen on our side goes on and on and on, and the answer is never a simple yes and no on that nuclear deal. We have questions about whether or not these Western governments are putting any type of pressure on Iran to lift the pressure that is on people. The answer, unfortunately, so far has been no. Our struggle to side with people of Iran will go on. Our ask and our demand is for you to help us raise the voice of Iranian people with the goal of establishing a free, democratic, secular, nuclear-free republic in Iran. Our big next task will be to go to our New York rally on Monday, September 28th, when Iran is sending Rouhani to represent the people of Iran. Our community is gearing up to be there to tell the world that that person does not represent the people of Iran. We need your help to mobilize more people to be with us there and to be the voice of the people of Iran. On that note, I would like to thank every one of you again, and I would like to thank the distinguished panelists, and especially Ambassador Bloomfield, for making the trip here tonight. And thank you all very much for your participation in our discussion tonight. Good night.